Alright guys, so as promised, we're going to do a vlog just dedicated to vinyl wrapping. Aaron's wrapping his Hyundai, so he's going to be talking step by step through a lot of it. And yeah, we did say on Instagram, we did a bit of a Q&A. We got hundreds of questions, so we're probably just going to pick like 5 or 10 of the most popular questions. And throughout the vlog, Aaron's going to try his best to answer them for you guys, so hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, Aaron from My Candy Motorsport here, one of the rappers. This weekend we'll be wrapping my personal car, the Hyundai i30. First step in wrapping a vehicle is choosing the colour. I've chosen a ORACAL colour. It's called Black Galactic Gold. This is the matte version of the film. Comes in gloss as well. Something a bit different, but I think it'll look pretty good on this. So the third step after getting it washed is to start dismantling it. I've already started pulling off some rubbers and window molds on here. So while dismantling this, bit of a problem getting these headlights out. You need to take the bumper out. So what we'll do is we'll chuck it on the hoist, and makes it a whole lot easier to get the bumpers off. So now we've got the car on the hoist, makes it a lot easier to pull apart the bumper, get to all the bolts a lot easier, get underneath the car, makes the job a whole lot easier. So now we've got the bumper off, all the lights will come off easier now. Alright, so everything's dismantled now. Front bumpers, rear bumpers, mirrors. And now we're gonna do step 3, which is clean it with all-purpose cleaner, get all the dirt off from inside the rails and everything else. Alright guys, so finished cleaning it. Giving it a final alcohol, ready to lay down some vinyl. So now I just got to measure it out, cut it to size and start laying. Hey guys, here on a Saturday now, just about to start a side and hopefully get the rest of the car finished and put back together today. Alright, so I've cut a piece oversize for the side. Should be able to get my doors and rear quarter out of this. Alright, it's 12:20 now, finishing for the day. Got a bit done, the roof, bonnet and front guards, along with the dismantling. I'll call it a day and get back onto it tomorrow. Alright, so ready to do the bumper now. We've backslid it in 2 pieces, so we can do half and half. I've got cameras here to give us a hand. And yeah, we'll heat and stretch it on, see how it goes. Just getting the vinyl on the bar now. This film's quite tacky, so you can get a few bubbles dragging through, but it's not too hard to squeegee it out. So cameras is just heating up the film, making it easier to stretch around the bumper. So after it heats it up a bit, I'll give it a pull lengthways, and Jonathan will pull the vinyl up and down, and we'll get it wrapped onto the bumper. So almost finished the bumper wrap. I decided to get this deep recess all in one piece. just by using different techniques to not overstretch the film when it's bridged over, not to just press it straight in, but to work some excess film from this sort of area into this deep recess and then flattening it out and pulling it over. But it's come out quite a treat. Even if I couldn't do it, I'd usually just put a piece in here and then have a nice neat seam on these body lines that you would hardly notice anyway. Just for longevity reasons, that's a bit of a better option, but I'm pretty confident that this isn't gonna fail or pop out or anything like that, and it looks pretty neat. Just finished the front and rear bumpers. This one's on the bumper stand here. Thought I'd take some time now that I've done the front bumper to answer some of your questions from Instagram. Jeremy Gilbert 11 says, how bad does an imperfection in the paint have to be before it shows through the wrap? It's a really good question. This car is relatively new. I've had it for about 6 months, and there are some stone chips here and there on the actual paint. This film here is quite a thick film, so it does hide a lot of those stone chips and stuff, but on the right light you can still see some minor paint imperfections. So if you have damage to the paint or cracking or peeling, that will definitely show through. But if it's minor things like stone chips and stuff like that, the vinyl can hide it pretty well, depending on the finish as well. These satin and matte finish films hide a lot of the imperfections a lot better. There's also a nasty stone chip up here somewhere, but it's very hard to see once the wrap's on it, especially satin dark colours. Lit Rosa 2003 asks, how long have you been wrapping for and how difficult is it to do? I've been wrapping for about 7 years now, started as a sign writer. Wrapping isn't too hard once you know the correct techniques and stuff like that. It can be a bit difficult when you're first starting out, but after a while you get the hang of it. Another question from D-Casting SS. What experience is needed to be able to work in the industry? Any recommendations? So like I said before, I started out as a sign writer and that sort of moved into the industry of vehicle wrapping. So I'd probably suggest starting off with sign writing, see how you go with that. A lot of sign writers get to work on vehicles and stuff like that, do partial wraps and sometimes some color change stuff, but definitely that'll give you a insight to the career of vehicle wrapping anyway. Growing Up Gavla asks, essential prepping of the vehicle, cleaning, equipment, methods, etc. So just like I touched on before, cleaning the vehicle properly, giving it a clay bar, a multi-purpose wash, cleaning it down with alcohol, getting all the dust and everything off the vehicle, having a neat working space. Stuff we use magnets to hold the film, tape to tape up any unwanted areas that you don't want the vinyl to stick to. Use stuff like this, micro squeegees for getting into tight recesses. Also use things like knives, obviously for cutting, snitties for cutting up the vinyl before you lay it on the car, cutting it into the sizes you need. Knifeless tape, so we can lay it on the car instead of cutting with knives directly onto the paint. And then obviously squeegees to get the vinyl laid. Also another important one is heat gun to make the material malleable and easier to apply to the vehicle to mold it to the shape. As far as techniques go, just stretching the material in the right way to get it to go where you want it to go without overstretching. So things like feeding the material in rather than bridging it over and pressing it in, because that runs the risk of it popping back out. So all these sort of areas, all the material would have been fed in, not pushed in. Stella Kutha asks, what happens when there's a crease in the wrap after putting it on? So usually what happens when we're applying the vinyl, we'll check to make sure it's all flat. I'll demonstrate here now just what happens when you do get creases or a bubble or something like that. So we've creased up the vinyl here, as you can see, so it doesn't look very nice. But all we do is we usually pull it back, give it a bit of a heat, and then that usually takes all the creases or any marks out of it, so you can lay it smooth. And this film has an air egress feature, which is air channels underneath on the adhesive layer, which allows air to escape underneath the vinyl, so it makes it a lot easier to put on. Loco06 asks, what's the craziest wrap you've ever done? So probably the craziest wrap I've ever done is the one that we just completed, and you've probably seen the video for, is the Rolls Royce Ghost in fluoro yellow. So this is by far the craziest wrap that we've had here. And this was also a full door jam job. So there was another question about how you get the vinyl into the door jams. So what we'll usually do is piece it in. We'll do obviously the exterior of the vehicle, and then do a continuous single piece on the interior, so there's a seamless finish. So this is all one piece, and it just takes a lot of patience and a lot of time to mold it into shape, heating it and pressing it in. Adam Coucher asks, what are the benefits and disadvantages of the wet technique and dry technique? So a lot of vinyls now, we just apply dry. There's not really many films that we do wet, apart from the exception of paint protection film, which has to be applied wet to make sure it lays down. Obviously, being a clear film, it has a flat adhesive, so the only way to get it bubble free or air free is to apply it wet. With a lot of vinyl wraps, because it's a solid color and you can't see through it, they have air egress channels, as I've touched on before, which allow the air to escape, and there's no need to apply it with any water. Proudy_7 asked, what products do you guys recommend to maintain a wrap? So we recommend washing your car every week or two, keeping it clean, keeping it under cover, away from sunlight when possible. Also, after your regular wash, you can also use products like Avery Dennison Power Cleaner, which gets any bird droppings, tree sap, anything like that off. And then you can also apply a sealant that helps protect the wrap from bird droppings, tree sap, dust, anything like that. Gives it an added layer to the wrap. Kane.Taylor asks, how long does it last, and does it fade or start to peel off the years of having it on? So that's another question that it depends on how well you look after your car, where it's garaged, if it's garaged, if it's in direct sunlight for most of the day, or if it's undercover, how regularly you wash and clean it and keep it clean. All those factor into how long a wrap can last, so that'll really vary, but you can expect, if you're going to look after your car, get quite a few years out of it. I'm hoping with this film in particular, this ORACAL film, to get at least 3-4 years out of it until I change my mind, but I'll probably change my mind a lot quicker than that. Just wrapping the antenna now. This is quite a complex shape, so it's very difficult to get in one piece without a possible failure. So we do it in two pieces, one at the back and then a piece across the front with a tiny seam on this body line here. So there's the finished product, guys. An almost seamless look. So when wrapping vehicles, sometimes some of these rubbers, they're quite hard up against the panels, but with the right tools you'll be able to get them in quite easy. Alright, so now that all the wrapping's done on all the panels, it's time to post heat all corners and edges to ensure that nothing lifts up. Alright guys, all back together now, all ready to go. So yeah, stoked with how it turned out. Enjoy the rest of the video.